Hi students, in this lesson we talk about the water-soluble vitamins. Last lecture, we look into the fat-soluble ones. Do you still remember which vitamins are fat-soluble? And yeah, vitamin A, what else? D. Okay, good. How about the water-soluble ones? And do you know which vitamins are water-soluble? Yeah, you're right. Okay, and that's just the vitamin B and vitamin C. For the vitamin B, it is a vitamin B complex, including the vitamin B1, B2, B3, B6, folic acid, that's B9, and B12. Wow, we have others, let's say the bounty, vitamin B5. And other than the B complex, we have the vitamin C as well. Both are water soluble. Here, okay, the table lists out the amount per servings of this vitamin B complex with the tablet. Yeah, have you tried this kind of things before? Yeah, some people will try to take in one capsule will have C and B complex included. Yeah, vitamin B complex is a water-soluble one. Actually, that's is a collection of 8 water-soluble vitamins, and I just read them out. So vitamin B is very important because it plays an important role in the cell metabolism, the chemical reactions in the living organisms. Play a very important role. So that's why we need vitamin B. But as you know, right, same as other vitamins, and the amount of intake is different from the main nutrients like the carbohydrates, proteins, lipids. We just need a small amount for the vitamins. And each vitamin B, is either a cofactor or coenzyme for the key metabolic process. So that's why they are very important party, right? Other than that, some of them are precursors and that we needed to run the metabolic process. That's why vitamin B is very, very important vitamin and that we need because it helps us to run the metabolic process. Do you know what's coenzyme cofactor? I'll give you the additional information. Just I remind some students who forget it. And coenzymes, these are the organic molecules and they work well with the enzymes. Cofactors quite similar to that and works with the enzymes to facilitate the chemical reactions inside our body. So wow, it helps to facilitate the enzymes, work with the enzyme to run the chemical reactions. So that's why it is very, very important. Without the vitamin B, and then may not be able to run all these chemical reactions efficiently. So that's why on the handout you found that vitamin B is essential for various metabolic processes. That is all the chemical reactions in the living cells. And most of these vitamin B's they cannot be stored by our body because they are water soluble one, right? And easy to get rid of it. So that's why we have to consume it regularly in our diet. But the problem is, it's water soluble. So that's why, extended cooking, food processing, or the alcohols can reduce the availability of these vitamins. And when you wash it, wash our food, and maybe some of the vitamins are washed away. So here, this table lists out the vitamin B complex. But the vitamin B1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 12. And they have their all the compound name. As the thiamine, that is the B1, and riboflavin, that's B2, lysine, that's B3, pantothenic acid, that's B5, pyridoxine, that's B6, biotin is B7, folic acid is B9, and for the carbolamin, that is the B12. Yeah, same as other vitamins or okay, even the main nutrients we learned before. We find, okay, let's say vitamin B in brown rice, sunflower seeds, okay, which may contain okay, more vitamin B1. And here this table lists out the recommended daily intake, and you found that just a small amount, that's good enough, right? Okay, let's look at all these one by one. For the thiamine, okay, and that's B1. It's found most in most of plants and animal food. Let's say, okay, just start right, brown rice, veggies, fruits, seafoods, and other than that, let's say the products, okay, we found the B1. And but we just need only in a small quantities. And so I think most of us will have enough sufficient intake of B1. Our body requires B1 to break down the carbohydrates, fats, proteins. Do you still remember all these main nutrients? What are the functions of all these? Carbohydrates, fats, proteins. Yeah, we need that, okay, to make give us energies, right? Build the muscles. So that's why it's very important, because you know carbohydrates, fats, proteins, all these are macromolecules. We can't absorb it, so we have to break them down before absorption. And who can help? Yeah, vitamin B can help. So that's why it is important, right? And other than that, it's also okay essential for the proper functioning of the nerve cells. Yeah, you know how important are the nerve cells inside our body. Yeah, okay. B1 acts as a coenzyme of the catabolism. That's the breaking down the sugars, amino acid, the proteins, fats. I just said. And if let's say we have not enough intake of B1, and that's the deficiency. What's the problem? Very, that is the problem. You know, actually on this is okay, founded okay a long time ago, but the causes are just being discovered for around 100 years. And what are the symptoms, okay, of this disease? And that is exhaustion, nerve muscle degeneration. The situation is if we don't have enough B1 intake, you know, this is a cofactor of the catabolism of the carbohydrates, proteins, right? Break down the carbohydrates, break down the proteins. If we can't do this because we don't have B1, not enough B1, and so breaking down carbohydrates, proteins, fats, okay, was a problem. So that's why we can't run the Krebs cycles. We can't give us energy, or we'll feel tired, or the muscle degeneration, right? It's reasonable. Am I right? Good. So without muscles and with exhaustion, feeling very tired, so maybe okay, that person can't stand up. Every day we sit down, stand up, okay, many times. So it's quite easy action, right? But if okay, so if someone okay, that's not enough intake of B1, and then to them it's so difficult to even just simple action, standing up. You know, that is a picture showing you what's the problem of lacking B1. As I just said, okay, the symptoms you see, okay, with okay, it's quite thin, loss of muscles, it's feeling very weak, because okay, they don't have enough energies, no muscles, so okay, may feel pain in the lips, and may also affect the heart rate as well. So it's very okay, serious. You know, okay, exhaustion, nerve, and muscle degenerations are the symptoms, right? So now you found that, well, what are the causes? causes, oh yeah, it's due to the diet rich in carbohydrates. What's the reason? Rich in carbohydrates, and probably that's good, right? But don't forget, if there's not enough thiamine, and that is, you can't break down the carbohydrates, can't produce energies, and okay, now let's see what's wrong. Okay, and I just thought, right, very is a kind of weakness. Probably okay. They would say, oh, I can't stand up, even if it's a very simple action, but can't do that. That's the response from the patients with the B1 lacking deficiency of thiamine when they are asked to stand up, but not easy to do that. What's the symptoms? That's the symptoms, right? Okay, feeling very weak and loss of muscles, and this kind of symptoms observed in Indonesian long-term prisoners because they are treated with rice-rich diet. The rice and they're being treated are the polished rice. What's the problem? We eat it every day. And cereal grains are most of the important dietary sources of the thiamine. The whole grains contain more thiamine than the refined one. The polished one, that's the white rice. And actually the cover, okay, rich in thiamine. But if they are polished, and thiamine being removed. So without the thiamine, and after polishing, yeah, I just thought thiamine is removed. And no thiamine, then it's rice being treated with rice only, or mainly rice, and you may not have enough intake of thiamine, right? Why do we need to do that? Because polished rice has a longer shelf life. We can keep it longer for a longer time, and so that's why usually the prisoner were treated with the polished rice. But not just the prisoner. And at that time, the doctor noticed that even the prison chickens, the chickens. They have the same symptoms. Why? Because those chickens, they were feeded with the polished rice left over from the prisoner. So that means the chickens ate the rice as well. And the same symptoms were being found in the chickens and also the prisoners. Yeah, how could cure them? If we feed them with the whole rice, they could be cured. And just that, right? Whole rice grain will have the outer layer, and be alright. Will have the thiamine with the protein and lipid. So that's the main source. But if we write them array and down, we'll just have the white rice and the thiamines are gone. So if you just eat in right rice, just have the right rice, and then probably we may not have enough thiamine intake. Then you may ask, oh, just keep it as a whole rice. But what's the problem of keeping whole rice? Whole rice does not store well because of the enzymes present will degrade the starch and the lipid can go resin. So that's why they can't be kept for a long time. It will be better to rip them away, just keep it as a polished rice, white rice for a longer shelf life. So that's why the rice we buy is polished. The outer layer actually is being removed by tumbling the grains together. And so It will also remove the thiamine present in the whole rice, right? But do you know, besides the differences of the content of what the thiamine in the whole rice and white rice, you know, white rice has a higher GI, glycemic index, than the brown rice. Do you still remember what is GI? Yeah, okay, good. And that is a ratio, right? We use it to measure the ability of the glucose to the carbohydrates to raise the blood level, blood glucose level. And yeah, do you still remember how to work it out? The GI. So we know that white rice can be broken down quickly by the body, and then be absorbed easily, so that I'll have a rapid increase in the blood glucose, so it has a higher GI. Higher GI is good or not? Think about it. Do you still remember that? That part of the discussion. Here this table lists out you see, with the brown rice, the white rice, right? For the brown rice, higher content of thiamine, but for the white rice, the content will be a bit relatively lower. Wow, just 1% remains. So that's why it will be much better if you add in brown rice in our diet rather than just taking in the white rice. Right? Good. Besides the carbohydrate parts, any other causes? Yes. Now let's see the second one. The second one is alcoholism. Or taking alcohol, drinking beer, wine, alcoholism. Oh, that means addicted to it. Not just a cup of it. Yeah. Keep drinking alcohols. Let's say 5 cups or above, maybe. Alcoholism, addicted to it. Alcoholism leads to the vitamin deficiency in the developed countries. And why? What's the problem of that? Because the chronic alcoholics principally consumes alcohol to exclusion of other foods. Just drink alcohol and no appetite to eat other foods. Not interested in others, but just drinking alcohols. Even though alcohols can provide us energies for survival, but there's a lacking of many nutrients because the alcohols only can provide you a balanced diet. I think you all know that, right? So that's why it's problematic. Other than that, alcohol has the diuretic effect. That means we'll produce more urine and needs to go to a toilet frequently. And thiamine is water soluble. So that's why more water soluble vitamins will lose, right? And even you take it, but being lost easily. And that's the problems. Get it? Okay, next, that will be vitamin B3 lysine, or in Korean it's nicotinic acid. Nicotinamide and nicotinic acids are the other forms of B3 we obtain it from our diet. Where can we get this? That's the meat, liver, fish, cereals. I think to the number one, we should have enough intake of B3. Wow, what's the function? Important. Helps to release the energies from the carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. It's quite similar to the previous one, right? It's a precursor of the coenzyme called NAD and ADP. we need that in many metabolic processes. Your NAD is an important in the catabolism of the fats, carbohydrates, proteins. That is the breaking down the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. As well as the cell signaling on the DNA repair. Wow, so important, you see. How about the NADP is involved in the forming process, forming reaction to the fatty acids, the cholesterol synthesis. So you see how important is B3. Other than that, it helps us in the circulation and health skin as well. Functioning of the nervous system. Wow, many uses. So that's why we should have enough intake of vitamin B3 because it's involved in most important process in our body, right? If let's say there's a deficiency, and then we call it a pellagra. One of the symptoms, that's weight loss, dermatitis, dementia. These are the symptoms of being of there's a deficiency of the B3. Here, these two pictures show you it looks 33 weight loss, dermatitis, that is with problems of the skin problems, right? Skin cells are rich in keratin, which is a protein to protect us from physical damage. The outer layer of the skin will become dead cells and then lose through the skin surface. Those people who suffer from dermatitis, it is a medical word of the skin problem. The skin cells will have the high turnover. So as I said, right, the skin cells will have the protein keratin. And to those people with the dermatitis, and then the skin cell will have high turnover weight. So it will continue for the high rate of the protein synthesis because the turnover rate is very high. So we have to keep making the protein to protect us. And so that's why we need a lot of energy to replace the skin. And making of the lysine, so that the catabolism and anabolism, that's the metabolism, the rate is very slow. May not have enough energy supply because we can't break down the carbohydrates to give us energies, and the protein synthesis will also be affected as well. And so that is the problem of the dermatitis. Besides B3, next that will be the B6, pyridoxine. B6 is available in many plants and animal foods. Let's say the legumes, nuts, bananas. I eat it every day. So I think I should have enough intake of B6. No problem to Rebecca now. Other than this, if you don't like fruits, you don't like beans, maybe you have pork, right? Fish liver, kidneys, that may not be so healthy, but I think most of people should have enough intake of B6. Same as other vitamin B, it is very important. For the B6, it is a cofactor on the amino acid metabolism. So it involves in the amino acid part, right? Deficiency, as I said, it's quite rare. We should have some intake of B6, right? But let's say if there's a deficiency, then it's quite similar to the previous one with the pellagra, with the weight loss, dermatitis, dementia, and with some problems with the neurological symptoms. if we don't have enough intake, there's a problem. But why it's a lot, and there's a problem too. The large doses, okay, is toxic. We have some problems, difficulties in the coordinations. So we need a balance. You're right. Other than B6, next will be B9, the folic acid. Next, there will be the vitamin B9 folic acid. For the vitamin B9, again, the natural form, that's the folate. We find it high in vegetables, livers, and nuts. So if we have vegetables enough intake, I think you should have enough intake of folic acid. Right? Okay. Don't forget, all the B vitamins, they are water soluble. So maybe during heating, during washing, and some of the vitamins are being washed away. It is unstable and easily lost in the cooking by heating and leaching. So that is the problems of vitamin B9. That's why some people, let's say the pregnant women, and they need extra intake of the folic acid. So heating, washing, as I just said, wash away the B9, the folic acid. Of course, but we can't skip it, right? Maybe eating salad would be much better, can keep some of the vitamin B9. Vitamin B9, the folic acid is a factor of the carbon transfer metabolism. It's also important in the DNA synthesis. If there's a deficiency of it, macrocytic anemia, that is the problem. What will happen if there's a macrocytic anemia? As the red blood cell is larger than the normal size, without the folate, without the folic acid, the DNA synthesis will slow down, so that the red blood cell loses the ability to divide into smaller parts. And the nucleus of the cells is not being released. The red blood cell becomes larger and larger and larger, and its shape is changed as well. It can't carry the oxygen efficiently. That is a big problem, you see. This is quite common, especially in the elderly groups and also the pregnant women. So they may need extra intake of the folic acid, maybe by the supplements. Here, these diagrams show you, this is the normal cells, but for the macrocytic one, the red blood cell will be larger in size, larger than the normal one. And here, this diagram is a bit more clear. This is the red blood cell, right? And then with there's adequate folic acid and vitamin B12, and then the cell division can be undergone normally with the cell division. But if there's a deficiency, the folic acid or the vitamin B12, and then the cell cannot be divided into a smaller one, it will become bigger and large. And also, the nucleus cannot be released. And for the pregnant women, they should have extra intake of the folic acid, enough intake of folic acid. Otherwise, the infants, the baby will have problems of the spine. Spine affected by the spinal bifida. What's that? You see at the back. What's that? Yeah, the spinal fluid will accumulate here, and this is the birth defect. If there's not enough folic acid intake, because there's an incomplete closing of the backbone. So that's why when someone know, okay, it's being pregnant, and then we have to, okay, take the supplements of the folic acid. That's very, very important. For the vitamin B, the last one is the B12. B12, another name is cobalamin. Cobalamin, okay, it could be synthesized only by the microorganisms. It's present in most of the animal foods, but none in plants. So for the vegetarians, may have lacking of B12, they may need to take in the supplement. But if you eat fish, animal food, I think you should have, okay, enough intake of vitamin B12. You know, vitamin B12 is very, very important too. It helps us to make the red blood cell. It's also a coenzyme for the protein synthesis, helps us to break down the fats. Activate the folic acid. Yeah, usually, okay, vitamin B12 and folic acid work together. And in the bone marrow, if there's a deficiency, the problem is quite similar to the folic acid one. We have the anemia, that is the pernicious anemia. What's mean by that? That's the insufficient concentration of hemoglobin, because you know hemoglobin is a protein responsible for the red color of the blood. With the deficiency of B12, hemoglobin failed to produce, leading to paler, looking white, right? Someone will say, oh, you look quite white and are you not feeling well, right? Some people would like to have what? 臉色紅潤, yeah. And now, there's a weight loss. Lethargy and is lacking of energy. Yeah, Paula just mentioned that being very pale in color because there's not enough hemoglobin. So that's why it looks not red enough, right? Yeah, I just said, right, okay, vitamin B12 will be synthesized by the microorganism due to the food chain, right? Okay, the fish eats it, so that, okay, we eat the fish and then we'll have the intake of the vitamin B12. Without the sufficient vitamin B12, and then body cannot make enough the red blood cell, the hemoglobin. So, you know, for the full blood count and blood film, we can help us to indicate the number and the size of the red blood cells. Also, could help us to, okay, get the hemoglobin level. Let me show you some diagrams later on. Okay, do the comparison. If, okay, there's a deficiency of vitamin B12, the problem is pernicious anemia. That is, the red blood cell number will be lowered, and then the hemoglobin level will be lowered too. So now let's see. This is the normal one. You see what, okay, you count the red blood cell, right, and compare with the one pernicious anemia. Yeah, the red blood cell number fewer, right? Other than that, the hemoglobin level will be dropped as well. And apart from the number, you will find that the red blood cells, okay, they are larger than the normal size and appear underdeveloped. This diagram, okay, shows you a bit more clear. The normal one was many red blood cells, but okay, for the anemia and one, okay, will have fewer. And then the hemoglobin level, yeah, being lowered too. That's all for the vitamin B complex. Now come to the second one, that's the vitamin C. Vitamin C, that is ascorbic acid. I think you're familiar with the vitamin C. Where can we get that? Fruits. Which fruit? Okay, which fruits was highest content of vitamin C? Kiwi, strawberries, Oranges? Okay, you check it. Which one? So the highest content of vitamin C. Yeah, we know that it's abundant in fruits and vegetables. So that's why if we are not feeling well, yeah, we'll take in, let's say it's oranges more, it's kiwi fruits, right? But seems that these two fruits not having the highest content of vitamin C. What kind of fruits? Fruits, I say. Okay, with the highest content. Okay, I listen to you and check it. But you know that vitamin C is unstable to hit, and alkaline means the basic solution. If you cook it under heating, okay, vitamin C, okay, will be affected. And so, not just cooking, heating, even okay, exposed to air, exposed to oxygen, with a problem too, being oxidized. Um, you know, vitamin C is important because we need it for the synthesis of collagen. And other functions like the iron absorption, antioxidants, okay, these are the functions of vitamin C. I think you heard this before, right? This is a cofactor, at least 8 enzymatic reaction. That means in okay the metabolism, right? We need this vitamin C, including the collagen synthesis. Collagens provide us toughness, elasticity to the connective tissues. That's why for the women, ladies, right, we need this. These reactions are especially very important in the wound healing and prevent the bleeding from the capillaries. So not just the ladies, boys, right? Okay, you need that too. If there's a deficiency, and then with the problem of the scurvy, that is a defective connective tissue and bleeding. Probably okay. Yeah, okay, with the bleeding that is the symptoms, right? Pinpoint bleeding, that is also the problem of the vitamin C lacking. So for the vitamin B and C, if there's a deficiency, in the developed countries, we seldom say this, but in the poor countries, okay, may have the problems because they may not have okay enough food intake. Most of the people they are understarving, and they are treated with unbalanced diets, so may have a problem of the vitamin B and C deficiency. But in Hong Kong, in Western countries, yeah, okay, with just only rarely observed it. You know, for the vitamin B, vitamin C, they is so important, but we are not required on a daily basis because most of the vitamin and they have their large body pools and low turnover. But for the water soluble ones, okay, because it's easy to lose it, and that's why okay, we may need a bit more. But of course, it's different from the main nutrients, carbohydrates, fats, okay, proteins that we need it, okay, regularly, and but for the vitamins, okay, the consumption just okay, occasionally. It is important not to self-diagnosis of the vitamin B deficiency because you know if you take in too much, that will be toxic. So balance is important. Get it? Here, as the last line, I would like to share with you, list out all the vitamins I shared. Vitamin A, D, E, K, what yeah, the fat soluble ones. And then we'll have the B and C, that's what I just said. okay, in the video today. So just for your revision, all these vitamins, they are important if there's a deficiency and there were some problems. So we need a balanced diet. Thank you.